What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I am Iron Man.
You are a toy!
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Server Anakin! I have the high ground!
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Welcome back to the Big Movie Boys podcast, the only podcast snubbed in all categories at the 2020 Oscars. I'm your host, Jeremy Bauman, and with me as always is Ben, double dose of Xanax Stitch.
What's up, boys?
And Bob, this is one of my favorite movies, Liebel.
I hope you're ready to hear that a lot during this episode.
We've got a lot to talk about this week, including our first impressions of HBO Max, determining the Big Movie Boys official best movie of the 2010s, and our review of Uncut Gems. But first,
everybody, remember to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Big Movie Boys. That is boys with an I.
And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search for Big Movie Boys.
As always, the links will be in the description of this show, or you can find them at bigmovieboys.com. With all that being said, let's talk about HBO Max. Now, we did talk about HBO Max a little bit about a month ago. That was mostly, I think that was when they announced the release date of the service and kind of some of the content that would be on it. But as of recording, it's been out for 3 or 4 days now. So, Bob, what is just kind of your general impression of HBO Max a few days after launch?
I don't really have one. Didn't download it. Haven't even looked into it at all.
Perfect. What about you, Ben?
I went one step further than Bob. I downloaded it on the app onto my phone. That's it though, because it doesn't download onto my Roku TV. So yeah, just got the app. Haven't really gone through it too much, but the layout itself seems pretty easy to use, like better than Disney Plus to me. But yeah, that's early on. That's my first impression.
So I did actually download it and watch stuff on it. I guess I did the homework for this week. I'm actually a little surprised to hear that, Ben, just because I was gonna compare the interface of HBO Max to Disney Plus. I felt that they were pretty similar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just in layout and the fact that it's kind of broken up into subcategories, like the different properties, in a similar way that Disney Plus is.
Yeah, is it different than like on the phone than like on your laptop? How have you been watching it?
I've been watching it. I have the app downloaded on my phone, and I've just been casting it to my Chromecast.
Okay. No, dude, you got to watch on the phone. That's the superior way to watch any sort of...
No, it's definitely not.
So it's not on Roku, though? Because I heard, Ben, you mentioned that, and I saw people tweeting about it. I only have a Roku, so what the fuck am I supposed to do? I have to watch it on my phone, which I'm okay with, but...
That seems to be the biggest complaint as of now, is that there's no Roku and there's no Amazon Fire Stick support as well.
Did they give a reason, or is it just your shit out of luck?
Is that like HBO's fault, or is that like Roku and Amazon's fault?
I mean, it's their relationships between those companies and not being able to strike out a deal, apparently. So supposedly they are coming soon, but the fact that they weren't available on launch, not a good sign.
Yeah, that's just stupid to me. Just have that, like, roll it out all together. I don't know why you have to be like do one thing at a time.
It's kind of petty. Like if they do have like issues with Amazon or whatever, and that's why it's not on like Fire TV yet, then I don't know, a little petty.
And HBO is already like confusing enough with the HBO Now, HBO Go, and HBO Max. So it's like I was ready to add the third one to the Roku, but
yeah, what fucking app am I even downloading? I'm not gonna. That's why I don't have it. I don't know what the hell I'm looking for.
So actually, this launch gave a little clarification to all that, because as of a week ago, honestly, I didn't know what the difference between them all was going to be. But it turns out that HBO Max has replaced HBO Now. And so now there's currently 2 apps available: HBO Go, which you automatically get with your HBO subscription on cable, and HBO Max, which is also included with your subscription on cable, but it could also just be its own service. So if you don't have a cable subscription, you can just get HBO Max.
That's why I don't understand why HBO Go is even a thing. Like, you get both with the subscription, which is how I have it. I didn't pay for the new subscription. So I don't understand why. Just get rid of both HBO Now and HBO Go, the two things making it confusing as hell, and just make it HBO Max.
Dude, I'm already so confused. You just said HBO 15 times. I don't know what in the fuck. I don't even care. Once they have one, maybe then I'll download it, or I'll ask one of you guys for your passwords. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, I mean, HBO Go, it looks like the plan is for that one to be sunset pretty soon. I don't understand exactly the logistics of why they couldn't do it yet. But even then, apparently, like, you know how there's, like, the category, like, leaving soon? So it'll be, like, movies that will be off the service pretty soon.
Yeah.
Apparently, there were movies that were leaving HBO Go soon that were then coming to HBO Max right after.
That is so confusing.
So I'm not convinced that anyone at Warner Brothers has any idea what these apps are, or even that they own both of them. But I do believe the plan is to get rid of Go. Eventually, HBO Max will be the only HBO app available. At that point, maybe it'll make more sense.
I will say this, though. Their movie selection is, like, unbelievable. That's why I think it'll be really huge.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch 2 movies just to check out the service. They were both in the last chance category, so I figured I'd watch them now. 2 very similar movies. I watched Shutter Island and The Lego Movie. Could barely tell them apart.
Yeah, those are the shot-for-shot remakes.
But I mean, yeah, like you said, there's a huge selection of movies, a lot of good movies that I hadn't seen before that I definitely wanted to see. I don't know, is there anything just generally on HBO that you guys would recommend to people if they recently got an HBO Max subscription and don't know what to start watching?
The Sopranos.
Bob's big on The Sopranos. I would say Westworld Season 1, because then Season 2 confused the hell out of me. Season 3, I have not finished. But yeah, Season 1 was one of my favorite seasons of TV.
My suggestion would either be The Outsider, which I believe I talked about during our quarantine watch list, or Chernobyl. If you never saw Chernobyl, that aired at the end of Game of Thrones,
I'll
definitely
second
watch
that.
it.
I will second Chernobyl. That's some good stuff.
All right, well, that will probably do it for HBO Max for today. A little underwhelming, both in its launch and in the conversation around it, honestly. I haven't heard too much about it.
I know, really. I really haven't either. Obviously, we're like at a time where there's so much other stuff going on right now, but yeah, nothing. HBO Max doesn't even like hit my timeline at all.
If we weren't talking about it on the podcast, I would have no idea it even existed.
Well, there you have it. So let's talk about something else that was in the news. You may have seen headlines because I'm pretty sure every entertainment publication had some version of this article where Quentin Tarantino announced that he thought that The Social Network was the best movie of the previous decade, 2010 to 2019. He is quoted as saying, "It's The Social Network, hands down. It is number one because it's the best. That's all. It crushes all the competition."
Well, there you have it.
Seems pretty clear cut if you take the words of Tarantino as gospel. But here at the Big Movie Boys, we like to do the hard work ourselves. And so we want to decide officially what the best movie of the previous decade was. Clearly, our opinion carries more weight than Quentin Tarantino. He doesn't even have a podcast. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go year by year, starting at 2010 all the way to 2019. And we're going to figure out what the best movie of each year was. At the end of that, we'll have a top 10 list of best movies of the decade, and then we will try to determine from that list of 10 which is the best movie of the 2010s. And I'm going to say 10 at least 10 more times over the course of this conversation. So to start, I've curated lists of movies from each year. These movies are not all in contention, at least not personally, for the best movie. I would argue that a lot of these movies aren't even good movies, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what movies came out in each year. So to start, we'll start with 2010. The best picture in 2010 was The King's Speech, and the highest box office return was actually Avatar, because Avatar came out in December of 2009. However, that's not in contention, so the next highest grossing movie was Toy Story 3, which did come out in 2010. Other movies that came out in 2010 included Inception, which we talked about last week, Shutter Island, The Town, The Social Network, Tarantino's pick, 127 Hours, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Other Guys, True Grit, Iron Man 2, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, How to Train Your Dragon, The Fighter, and many more that I did not include. Bob, I'll ask you first, what are you kind of narrowing down your top movies of 2010 to?
We actually touched on them in your short description right there, but I had Inception. If you're one of the 5 listeners from last week, you know that we're all pretty big on Inception. So I had Inception, The Fighter, starring the one and only Mark Wahlberg, and I also put Toy Story 3. I would say that those are in my contention for top movie of 2010.
I think those are pretty solid. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, that was good. My 3 that I wrote down were also Inception. Love that movie. Also The Fighter, which is, I think, my favorite Mark Wahlberg movie. And
that's
Christian
a good
Bale's,
movie.
It's an actual good movie. And
that's a good movie.
It's a really good movie. And Christian Bale in it is so crazy. That movie's like so good. And then my
Did he
third
win an
movie,
Oscar? He had to have won an Oscar for that.
I think for Best Supporting Actor, I'm almost positive he won that. We'll get IT on that. And then my third movie was The Town, which is basically Toy Story 3, I think, but live action.
Yeah, I remember that controversy when Toy Story 3 came out. Everyone's like, this is just The Town. The 3 that I had narrowed it down to, I also had
Social
Inception,
Network.
The Social Network.
Big
I
surprise.
said it during our quarantine watch list that it's a top 5er. It absolutely is. And then I included Toy Story 3 as well. I have not seen The Fighter, so I cannot make any comments on that Mark Wahlberg classic. So we seem to have more or less, kind of some consensus here, at least around Inception. That doesn't necessarily mean that automatically wins for Best Movie of 2010.
Jared, I don't think your Social Network is not making it out of the first round, buddy.
You and Quentin Tarantino
are wrong.
Just a movie. It's probably the best movie, but it's probably like my 4th favorite movie of that year.
Jesse Eisenberg gives me the heebie-jeebies. I won't be watching that movie.
All right, well, here's where you're both wrong, is that The Social Network is in contention. I mean, I made this list for every year, and I'll tell you right away that it's in my top 3 for the decade, hands down. So if you're not going to give it the respect it deserves, then, I mean, we'll say it from the very first year that this is under protest.
Well, that's why I'm willing to let it go through, because I know I think it's your favorite movie, Jerry. You're saying top 3, but I think it's your top 1.
I mean, on any given day, it probably could be, but it's solidly in the top 5, if not top 3.
For the sake of the list, though, I think we all had one movie that was the same, was Inception, right?
And I think Inception was my favorite movie of that year.
I would have to say I agree. Inception was probably my favorite movie of the year.
So, and I don't know that I elaborated clearly earlier. The way that this is going to work when we go year to year is that if at least 2 of us have to agree on a movie for it to win the year. So it sounds like there's already been a consensus between you 2 that you're both picking Inception.
Correct.
Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, and I'm sorry.
Fucked.
I'm sorry that Quentin was unable to join the podcast this week to help you, but no, yeah, we have Inception. Moving on.
I would like, for record-keeping purposes, everyone to know that I am voting for The Social Network, even if I am getting outvoted. Wow, maybe this is going to be more difficult than I thought. But we are 1 down, 9 to go. The best movie, according to the Big Movie Boys of 2010, is Inception. Let's move on to 2011. The best picture for 2011 was The Artist. The biggest box office return of 2011 was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Other movies that came out this year include War Horse, Contagion, Soul Surfer, Thor, In Time, Drive, Limitless, Captain America: The First Avenger, Moneyball, Fast 5, Melancholia, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol, Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Ben, let's start with you. What are you kind of narrowing down your top few to?
Yeah, for this one I only got to 2 on this one, and Moneyball was 1 for me, and then Bridesmaids was the other one.
Bridesmaids.
What?
Yeah.
Who? What is it?
Bob, did you never see Bridesmaids? That's one of the funniest movies of all time.
No, I can't say I've seen Bridesmaids.
Well, you're missing out.
Did you watch that at your bachelorette party?
Bob, wait till you just watch Bridesmaids.
Who's in it? Is Rebel Wilson in it?
No, it's Melissa McCarthy's the super funny one. In
Oh,
it,
I
and then
get her. I get those two mixed up.
Kristen
McCarthy,
Wiig,
Rebel
Melissa
Wilson.
McCarthy. Those are the two that I actually just remember.
All right, well, Ben's basically out of this one because I doubt that me or Jeremy has Bridesmaids or I don't even remember your other movie. I'm just so thrown off from Bridesmaids.
Moneyball is the other one.
What is
Moneyball
was
good.
good.
Is Transformers Dark Side of the Moon on your list, Bob?
No, it is not. My list, though, actually, Jeremy touched on two of them in the opening right there. Limitless, an all-time Netflix classic. Probably the first movie I watched when I got Netflix. I'm pretty sure it was Limitless. I also had Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Very, very good movie. And Warrior, which I'd assume you guys don't have. It's Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton. It's an MMA movie about two brothers end up fighting in a tournament at the end. It's pretty good. It's definitely a sleeper hit. I've talked about it before. That'd be worth checking out. But I'd put that on my list because that's one of my favorite movies.
I had a tough time narrowing this one down. Limitless is on my list as well. Definitely an all-time Netflix classic, as Bob said. And I'm going to throw in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
I thought about that as well.
I didn't read the books or the second half of the books, so I didn't have the, bias going into it, so I'm sure people who read the books might think differently. But that was one of the first, major franchises to have a big, cinematic conclusion, and I thought it was done pretty well, all things considered. Also made a shit ton of money that year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good movie. And those are pretty much the two. Moneyball I considered, but I don't know. I think I've only seen it once.
So I guess Limitless is the movie we're going with. Limitless is a really good movie, and it's a movie that whenever it's on, you kind of just want to keep watching it.
I can get down with Limitless as being the best movie of 2011.
Well, I mean, if I can shoot down Bridesmaids, even though I've never seen it, but I'm definitely going to shoot down Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I do not care for those movies at all.
Oh, wow. You're not going to like the rest of my list then.
But is it all of the Planet of the Apes movies?
I have all three on here. Spoiler alert. I put that's the best modern trilogy.
Wow. I highly disagree.
I think 2012 will tell us differently, that there's another trilogy that's better.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't too steadfast on any of my picks for 2011, so it seems like a pretty unenthusiastic Limitless win for 2011.
Yeah, 2011, kind of weak.
That's all right. They get better over time, I think. But that's two. We got two down. Limitless is officially the best movie of 2011. You can write it down and circle it because it's a fact. Let's move on to 2012. Best Picture of 2012 was Argo. The highest box office return of 2012 was The Avengers. Other movies include The Dark Knight Rises, Skyfall, Django Unchained, Life of Pi, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Silver Linings Playbook, Looper, Zero Dark 30, The Hunger Games, Flight, Wreck-It Ralph, Ted, Chronicle, Brave, The Amazing Spider-Man, Cloud Atlas, and The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Bob, what are you kind of narrowing down your top picks to?
This one was hard because I think 2012 was a very good year for movies. Just off of that, what you just read off right there, there's a lot of good movies there. But I went with Dark Knight Rises, Skyfall, and Chronicle. Probably three of my more favorite movies. Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about all three of these. I think any one of them could probably, depending on who else agrees with me, could be the movie of 2012. Ben, what'd you have?
Yeah, so I also had Dark Knight Rises bias towards that trilogy for sure. I had The Place Beyond the Pines with Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling, kind of an underrated movie. I love that movie. And then Argo was my third movie. Jeremy, I think we saw Argo together in theaters back in the day.
Did I see Argo? Did I see it with you guys too? Because I saw Argo.
Oh, I think we went with my parents, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right. I did have Argo on my short list. I liked that movie a lot. Django Unchained, probably my favorite Tarantino movie.
Yeah, that almost made the list.
And you gotta mention The Avengers. I mean, that movie literally changed cinema as we know it for the next 10 years. Yeah, those are the three. I'm gonna mention, because I knew Bob was going to include Chronicle. We might need to watch Chronicle for this podcast, because I watched it once and hated that movie, and I don't know why people love it.
I also hated that movie.
What is wrong with you guys? Dude, Chronicle is literally so good. That
it's
is
a
such
beloved movie, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jer on this one, Bob.
Dude, Michael B. Jordan, it's his coming out party. I think that's one of his first major roles. Dane DeHaan, however the hell you say his name.
Oh
He's
yeah,
awesome
everyone's
in it,
favorite
too.
actor, Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan is a great actor, and he shows it in Chronicle.
Dane DeHaan looks like he's never slept in his entire life.
So you guys aren't going to go with Chronicle on this one?
Well, I think we can all agree we're not going with Chronicle, but it does seem like we were kind of all over the place when it comes to 2012 here. I don't know how we're gonna narrow it down.
Did anybody else say Skyfall? That's a very good one as well. I think I was the only person ahead of my list. I think what's the only one that we said that repeated? I think me and Ben both said Dark Knight Rises.
And me and Jeremy both said Argo.
I didn't enjoy Argo.
So it basically comes down to who enjoyed Argo or Dark Knight Rises.
Well, no, it comes down to because Ben had Argo and Dark Knight Rises, so it's either he's going to agree, and Jeremy had Argo and I had Dark Knight Rises, so it's basically up to you, Ben. Which one do you like more?
Oh, is that how we're going to do it, Jared? Does that sound right?
Well, I would just like to mention that while I did have Argo on my shortlist, Django Unchained is the best movie of 2012.
You know what?
I just want to put that out there.
I'm going to throw a curveball and go with Django because it was going to be my fourth movie anyways.
What in the world is happening right now?
Django, I had it written down, but only said 3. But I think Django,
I can go with Django.
I think we can all agree on that one.
I agree.
I think Jeremy would have been really upset if Avengers did not make the list over Dark Knight Rises. So we'll go with Django.
I wouldn't have been that upset about the Dark Knight Rises beating Avengers. I just would have been upset that Django Unchained didn't win 2012.
Yeah, I think it was probably the best movie.
I do think it was. So, in an unexpected turn of events, Django Unchained is officially the best movie of 2012. Moving on to 2013, the best picture was 12 Years a Slave. Highest box office returns, as we learned a few podcasts ago, Iron Man 3. Other movies included Snowpiercer, The Wolf of Wall Street, Her, Now You See Me, The Conjuring, Gravity, World War Z, Man of Steel, Frozen, Thor, The Dark World, Gatsby, Olympus Has Fallen, Riddick, American Hustle, Dallas Buyers Club, Captain Phillips, Fast and Furious 6. I don't remember who I went to last time, but
I think I'm up. You're telling me Gatsby and Wolf of Wall Street were in the same year? Wow. Leo was just
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I did my research for this. I was like, fuck. Like,
I'll tell you this, though. I had one of those movies as my only movie listed, and it wasn't Gatsby.
Oh, no? That's surprising to hear.
The Wolf of Wall Street is like the only movie out of all of those that I think I want to see again.
Yeah.
Bob, what about you?
I had Wolf of Wall Street. That was basically a gimme. I put World War Z on there as well, just because I really liked that movie, and I think it's pretty underrated. World War Z is a good movie.
You like Brad Pitt with long hair. That's all right, Bob.
I do. I love Brad Pitt with long hair. For some reason, I put Pain and Gain on my list.
I almost put that as a joke, but
Mark Wahlberg,
that's a guilty pleasure.
That's a guilty pleasure movie. Yeah, you're right. I don't think I saw any movies in 2013. Like when you were reading off the list, I was like, damn, I've never seen any of these. So, due to my lack of visiting the movie theater the entire year of 2013, I put Pain and Gain in my top 3. I'm hoping you might also have it, Jeremy, so we can really throw another curveball and make Pain and Gain the #1 movie of 2013.
Believe it or not, I did not even include Pain and Gain in my list of movies because I didn't think it would get brought up in any context.
Damn it.
My short list included Snowpiercer, which I didn't like as much as most people, I think, or maybe it was just a little too overhyped for me. The Wolf of Wall Street, obviously, best movie, but I do want to throw out there, just for the sake of discussion, Fast and Furious 6 is the best Fast and Furious movie.
No.
I have not seen it, but I think 5 is better without even seeing 6.
I'm telling you, 6 is the best. However, I think it's pretty unanimous on this one. We're going with Olympus Has Fallen. Oh, sorry. The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that one was easy.
Let's move on to 2014. Best picture of 2014 was Birdman. Highest box office return, Guardians of the Galaxy. Other movies include Whiplash, Selma, Gone Girl, John Wick, Interstellar, American Sniper, Captain America the Winter Soldier, The Lego Movie, Edge of Tomorrow, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Maze Runner, Unbroken, The Fault in Our Stars, Chef, The Interview, Fury, Lucy, The Imitation Game, Kingsman: The Secret Service, and What We Do in the Shadows. Bob, what are you narrowing down your top few to?
I had Captain America: Winter Soldier. That I think is my all-time Marvel movie. I had that on there. I had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I didn't. Just so you know, my lists don't include any more Planet of the Apes movies.
Well,
Bob,
it's gonna get brought up again.
Bob, that movie was horrible. Just want that on the record.
What planet are you guys on?
I liked Rise of the Planet
A Planet
of the Apes.
Not of the Apes.
That movie was not nearly as good.
Well, son of a bitch, I got it on there, and I will continue to defend this trilogy as one of the best trilogies of all time. So that was on my list, and I also had American Sniper. That, as much as I love Planet of the Apes, American Sniper, and as much as I love Captain America and Planet of the Apes, American Sniper is pretty one-sided for me. I would say without a doubt, American Sniper was my favorite movie that year.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, for me, it was Interstellar is one of my favorite movies, so that was number one on the list for me. Love that movie so much. Gone Girl was my number 2, and then you could have flipped any one of these for me. Interstellar probably would have been one no matter what, but American Sniper on there too. You could switch that with Gone Girl too. Those movies are both really good to me.
So 2014 and I believe 2015 as well are years where I feel like if I had seen some of these other movies, they would probably be my pick just based on what I had heard. Having not seen Whiplash or The Grand Budapest Hotel, I couldn't pick either of those, but I imagine if I had seen either of them, they would be in contention. Both of the Marvel movies that came out this year are two of my favorites. Bob mentioned Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Kingsman: The Secret Service, I don't know that it's really in contention, but I do love that movie. And I picked for my favorite of 2014, what I consider the best of 2014, to be The Imitation Game.
What the hell is that?
That's a good movie. It doesn't make my list, but it was a good movie.
It's Benedict Cumberbatch playing Alan Turing, who basically built the first computer to defeat the Nazis.
He's just super fucking smart, and everyone doubts him.
Wow, that sounds...
It's a good movie.
Absolutely riveting. What are we going to go with, though?
I think we got to go with American Sniper and do what the Oscars couldn't.
Yeah, I agree. That was the biggest fucking highway robbery in the history of movies. I have no idea how that didn't win.
Jeremy, you told me after you saw this movie you were about to sign up for the military, if I'm not mistaken.
Jeremy, I saw it with you, right? We walked out of the theater, and for whatever reason, there was a giant American flag. Do you remember
Here's the thing, Bob. I need you. I'm going to tell a story, and I need you to think very hard and deep about whether or not you remember the experience of watching American Sniper, or if you remember the movie objectively. Because the way that happened is we went to see American Sniper in theaters, and it's basically propaganda at that point. Because if there were recruiters standing outside the theater, I would be enlisted right now.
Me and Jeremy
we
would be on the
stepped
front
outside,
lines.
And there was a 600-yard American flag waving in the wind
Wow.
as we left that theater. And
felt
I've
like a
never
dream.
felt more proud to be an American in my life. Have you gone back and watched that movie, though?
I actually watched it a few weeks ago, and it was just as good. I got a little itch too to join the army again. I almost did it.
I didn't think
Sounds
it
like
held up.
Jeremy's joining Al Qaeda after watching it the second
Yeah,
time.
Jeremy switched sides. That's not cool, man.
Well, in the interest of American pride, it sounds like I'm being outvoted
Once again.
You are. And
once again.
And when we get down to the final rounds, I'm going to push hard for this movie again.
So with that, officially, American Sniper, the best movie of 2014. Let's move on to 2015. Best Picture of 2015 was Spotlight. Highest box office return was Jurassic World. Other movies include The Revenant, Mad Max Fury Road, The Big Short, The Hateful Eight, The Martian, Inside Out, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Ant-Man, 50 Shades of Grey, San Andreas, Fant Four Stick, the Fantastic Four remake, and Furious 7. Ben, are we on you? What are your top movies of 2015?
Yeah, I had one that you didn't mention, which was Straight Outta Compton. Love that movie.
Good choice.
Also had Room. Very different movie than Straight Outta Compton if you haven't seen either of them. And then my third movie was The Big Short. So 2015, I'm not really passionate about any of these movies, but I did enjoy all three of those movies. What about you, Bob?
So for me, I had The Revenant. That was a very entertaining movie for me. I was also very happy that Leo finally got the Oscar. Thought he should have got it for any one of his other movies that came out before this. I'm pretty
Wolf of Wall
confused.
Street, he should have gotten it, but
but I was happy that he got it for The Revenant. I also had Straight Outta Compton. That's a fucking awesome movie. And I had one that Jeremy didn't mention in the beginning, and now I'm questioning if it came out this year. Creed.
Oh, Creed. I
Did
don't
Creed
know.
come out in 2015, or am I bullshitting?
I really hope you're bullshitting.
I was confused because I don't know. I thought
that
Ben
says
would have said it.
2015.
Creed came out in
Ben.
2015. Very good choice, Bob.
Very shocked Ben didn't say it. You didn't say it in the intro, so I was doubting myself. But yeah, Creed.
I never saw it, so that's why I didn't say it.
I just apparently skipped over it, but now that Bob mentions it, I will say that the best movie of 2015 was Creed, because it beats anything else I was going to mention.
That's fine with me, because I do want to see that movie. I know Bob is the leader of the Michael B. Jordan fan club with Chronicle, but yeah, that one's probably better than Creed.
Creed's a great movie.
The only other ones I was going to even mention were The Martian and Star Wars The Force Awakens, just because I thought of the new trilogy, that was the only one that was good.
You were big into space that year. Big into space that year, Jer.
That's true. But yeah, I somehow missed Creed, but I'm definitely saying that Creed was, of the movies I saw, the best one of 2015.
Agreed.
So is that officially 2?
That's fine with me. As a person who hasn't watched it, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Again, 2015, just another kind of overall lackluster year, but that's not the case for all the years moving forward, including 2016, where the best picture was Moonlight. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the year that they announced the wrong movie.
Yes.
Is that correct?
And I was crushed because they announced La La Land.
That I should have made a note. Best picture, La La Land. Oh, wait, never mind. It was Moonlight.
Damn, that hurts. That was like the one time I stayed up and watched the end of the Oscars.
Well, I think we know which one you're going to have on your list. Apparently, you're a La La Land super fan.
Yes, I am. Fucking love that
Ben
movie.
was so tired at school the next day, he stayed up all night waiting for his favorite movie to win Best Picture.
The highest box office return for 2016 was Finding Dory. Other movies include Arrival, Green Room, Deadpool, Split, Suicide Squad, Moana, Doctor Strange, Captain America Civil War, Batman v Superman, La La Land, as we mentioned, 13 Hours, The Lost City of Z, Sausage Party, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Bob, what are your top movies for 2016?
I had Civil War. I threw out Rogue One as well, just because I liked it, and I think Rogue One is probably the best Star Wars movie to come out since the original trilogy. I would agree. I would say that, agree. And I love that movie. So I put it on there. I also had another one that I don't believe the rest of you guys are going to have on your list. I had Don't Breathe. Anyone remember that movie?
I didn't watch it, but I did see it when I was researching movies. I just didn't include it.
What is that one, Bob?
It's basically these, like, I guess this group of, like, thugs. They break into houses, like they steal stuff from rich people, and they decide to break into this guy's house. He's like a war veteran, and he's like blind, and they think it's going to be super easy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And turns out he's like the Terminator.
But he's actually Daredevil.
Yeah. That had like a twist ending, I remember. Yeah.
And it gets real fucky at the end. Something involving like a turkey baster and I don't even want to say it out loud, but it gets pretty wild. That one was I liked that movie, so I put that on the list. What did you have, Ben? We know one of them already.
Yeah, so La La Land was big for me. My other one, shockingly enough, was then Moonlight. So it wasn't like I was totally crushed because I thought Moonlight was a really good movie too. And then Captain America: Civil War. I'm not as big into Marvel Universe as you guys are, but that was a really good movie.
Yeah, I included Captain America: Civil War as well, just as a shout out. One of the top tier Marvel movies for sure. I didn't think it would be in contention because I don't know how many people saw this movie, The Lost City of Z, or The Lost City of Zed, since they're European and they say Zed. It was on Prime, I don't know if it is anymore, but that one has friend of the show Robert Pattinson in it. Very good movie. Slow slow burn, same director as Ad Astra, which is why I watched it. If you saw Ad Astra and you didn't like how slow that movie was, you won't like this movie, but I think it's worth watching. And then the Best Picture 2016, there is no contention. I'm almost not even willing to argue or debate. The answer is Arrival.
Oh, I didn't even hear you listen. And then when I looked through, I didn't even see Arrival. Arrival was a good movie. Oh, that's going to be tough. What are we going to go with here?
I was bummed. I didn't see Arrival. I really wanted to, and for whatever reason, I just never got into the theater to watch it. But it was one that I was really excited for.
I didn't see that in movie theaters either. I think I watched it a couple of years later, just on my TV. And that's a movie I really wish I would have seen in theaters.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I didn't see it in theaters. Saw it, I don't know, on whatever streaming service it was on, and it blew my mind. If I could erase my mind of one movie to watch it again for the first time, it might be Arrival.
Well, I might go with Inception on that one, but yeah. What are we going to go with here? Because
I was going to say, we're kind of all over the board again.
I'm not going. It will not be Captain America: Civil War, just because we all three mentioned it. I refuse to have that one be it.
That's fair. I mean, my vote's for Arrival. I don't know if you guys, one of you wants to agree with me, or if you guys want to outvote me, but my vote's for Arrival.
Bob, what's your vote? And then I'll pick mine.
For me, well, it's hard because I didn't see Arrival, and I was going to say the only other one that we agreed on was Captain America: Civil War. So nobody else wants Don't Breathe, and nobody else wants Rogue One from my list. So maybe I'll just fuck it. I'm just going to say Arrival.
Then, since Arrival already won, my vote will be for La La Land.
Okay.
All right. Well, then everyone's happy, and Arrival is officially the best movie of 2016.
Jeremy stole another one.
I personally think it is.
Jeremy has lost a couple, but he's also got a couple that he snuck in there.
I know we have this whole charade that this is actually a democracy and we're voting on these, but ultimately it comes down to what movie I think is the best of the decade.
It won't be The Social Network.
Well, we don't know that for sure yet. Let's move on to 2017. The best picture of 2017 was The Shape of Water. Highest box office return was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Other movies include Molly's Game, Justice League, It, Dunkirk, The Fate of the Furious, Mother, Lady Bird, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Baby Driver, Murder on the Orient Express, Get Out, Wonder Woman, Thor Ragnarok, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Bright, Logan, Good Time, Coco, The Big Sick. I keep forgetting who I went to last time, so whoever's turn it is, what are your top movies?
I don't know who's... Bob, you go. I don't fucking
Okay,
know.
I'll go. So I had It, just because it was nice to see a horror movie that wasn't stupid and generic and whatnot. I don't know. I really liked it. So I put that on there. I had Spider-Man: Homecoming. And I also had, your favorite of mine, War for the Planet of the Apes. The apex of one of the greatest trilogies in modern cinema.
All right, Ben, what did you have?
Hold on, wait, I got a little more. Hold on. When you were going through the list, I actually completely, I don't know how I forgot this one. Get Out. I didn't know came out in 2017. I don't know how I completely forgot about that. So I'm going to scratch everything I just said, and I'm putting Get Out as my number one.
Yeah, Bob, definitely going to have to agree with you there. When you said Planet of the Apes ahead of Get Out, I was like, did you fucking forget about Get Out?
I literally did. I forgot about Get Out.
You're lucky you did. Yeah, so I had Get Out, and then the only other one I had was Dunkirk, but only because that wasn't one of my favorite movies of all time, but it was just really cool to see. I think I saw it at the drive-in, and it was like a really cool movie to see at the drive-in. So those were the two I had for 2017. Jared, how about you?
I threw Logan in the mix just because I thought that was a very different take on a superhero movie and a superhero character that had been in movies for 20 years at that point. I thought that was a really good one. Good Time, the Safdie brothers' first feature film, which I know all three of us watched. And I'm sure we'll talk about again when we get to Uncut Gems later, but I thought that was a very good movie. Also stars friend of the show, Robert Pattinson. It I had as well, and guys, I have a confession to make. While I have never seen Get Out, I am fully...
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay with Get Out winning 2017.
Because it's going to, but how have you not watched that, Jared? That's incredible.
I typically don't watch horror movies or scary movies, and I know that Get Out is, more than that. But also, it wasn't really on, streaming services anywhere.
Yeah, I rented it. I had to rent it on a fucking Redbox.
I'm trying to think
Yeah,
how I
I
watched it. I didn't see
never
it in
got around
theaters.
to it.
Yeah, well, I think the winner for 2017 is definitely Get Out, though, right, Bob? You agree with that one?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll vote for it too. Having not seen it, I'm fine with that.
Jared, what did you say won the Best Picture that year?
Shape of Water.
This. I remember. I stayed up and I watched the Oscars this year, hoping that this would win, and I was pretty fucking pissed off that Get Out didn't win.
Dude, that's brutal. And not only was it not Get Out, The Shape of Water, a movie I just feel like, personally, did not see it, but a movie I don't think will be remembered at all.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't seen it either, but I'll say with 100% conviction, it sucked. It was a horrible movie. Get Out really should have won, though. Like I remember
that's a tough beat.
Yeah, and I remember that was like one of the Twitter blew up over that. I remember people were freaked. I have no idea how it didn't win.
Well, now that we've aired all of our grievances with the 2017 Oscars, let's move on to 2018. Best picture for that year was Green Book. Highest box office return, Black Panther. Other movies include Mission Impossible Fallout, Black Klansman, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, A Star is Born, 8th Grade, Roma, A Quiet Place, Incredibles 2, Hereditary, Venom, Avengers Infinity War, Aquaman, Ready Player One, First Man, Annihilation, Bird Box, Deadpool 2, Bohemian Rhapsody, Game Night, and Bad Times at the El Royale. I will say from the get-go, 2018 and 2019 are going to be difficult ones to form a consensus on.
Yeah,
I picked
those are
like
hard.
8 movies in both years, so
Very hard.
Ben,
Yeah,
let's
I
start with
agree
you. You might have 8 movies that you want to throw out for contention, but what are you kind of thinking?
You know, I had 5 for this one. Did you mention Beautiful Boy by any chance?
No, that is not on my list.
That was with Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet. Not my favorite, but just thought I would throw that one out there. I had that listed. Infinity War, I think, is better than Endgame. Like a great movie. A Star is Born. Black Klansman is... that movie was so funny and so good. And then 8th Grade, another movie I saw with you, Jerry. I figured I'd throw that on the list too. But I think for my favorite one on all of these, I think A Star is Born was my favorite of 2018.
What about you, Bob?
I also had Black Klansman and A Star is Born. Those are 2 really good ones. A Star is Born, I was actually very hesitant on. Like, I didn't know if I was going to like it. And it turned out to be one of my favorite movies of the year. And then I hopped on the Marvel train a little bit. I had Black Panther and Infinity War, 2 of my all-time favorite Marvel movies. But if I had to say my favorite out of that list, I think I'm going to go with A Star is Born. I'm agreeing with Ben. So right now, we don't really give a shit what you have to say, Jeremy.
Wow. Well, I guess I'll just talk for an audience of no
Yeah,
one.
Jared, I'm
but-
just curious if I've never really asked you. You're the big Marvel guy, but which movie did you like better, Infinity War or Black Panther?
Guys, we don't have an hour left in this podcast for me to get into that answer. Let me first just start by narrowing down. I think I had like 6 movies here. Bad Times at the El Royale, very good movie. Game Night, surprisingly good movie. Don't know that that's in contention, but definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it. Hereditary being one of the very few scary movies that I've seen and actually really liked. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, arguably one of, if not the best superhero movie, particularly an origin movie. 8th Grade, legitimately one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure, Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in total I paid for 4 tickets for that movie so that I could have 2 different people watch it with me 2 different times.
Yes, and I was one of those people. I remember that.
And
being
you
the
were
case.
one of those people, so highly recommend it. It's on Prime if you haven't seen it. That's a Bo Burnham written, directed movie. Obviously, Black Panther was incredible, and Infinity War remains one of the best movies of all time. Ben, to give you a very short answer, I think Infinity War is a better movie. That being said, Endgame transcends what it means to be a movie and cinema in general, and therefore is in its own category, all its own. So with all that being said, it sounds like A Star is Born won this year.
Well, I could. If you're trying to get down with Infinity War, Jer, I could be swayed.
I don't like the sound of that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to make a much stronger case for Endgame next year, so take that for what it's worth.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine with me.
So,
All right. Let's give it to A Star is Born.
It wasn't even on my short list, but
The movie that made me cry more than any other movie I think I've ever watched.
Yeah, I could really like if I just sit there and like use my imagination, I could make myself cry just thinking about this movie.
A Star is Born, officially the best movie of 2018. It made 3 grown men cry, including myself. If I just think back to Sam Elliott driving in reverse down that driveway.
Oh, you're going to get me, Jared. That's a tough part.
Lord. Oh,
That and Charlie waiting at the garage are my two gotchas.
dude, the dog just
Yeah.
the dog kills it for me. Oh my god.
Let's hold back the tears. We got 1 year left. Probably going to be the most divisive year because 2019 was objectively a great year for movies. Best Picture winner, of course, we all know, Parasite. Highest box office return, not only of this year, but of all time, Avengers Endgame. Other 2019 movies include Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ad Astra, Joker, The Lighthouse, Uncut Gems, 1917, Knives Out, Jojo Rabbit, Ford v Ferrari, Dr. Sleep, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, Us, The Irishman, Frozen 2, Bombshell, Little Women, Glass, Spider-Man Far From Home, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, and we all know Bob's pick, Cats.
That was good.
Dude, this is a hard year. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I saw like every movie that came out in 2019 or the fact that they were all amazing, but this is hard for me. I had Parasite, I had Avengers Endgame, I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I had Marriage Story, I had Knives Out, and I had Us. It's hard, dude. I if I had to pick my favorite, I don't know. And honestly, all the other ones you named, Jeremy, I can't wait to see what your guys' lists are because this is going to be a hard one. I say this is probably one of the best years of movies. Actually, I would say this is the best year of movies in my entire life.
Oh yeah, easily.
Especially going through this, looking back on it. Like, I mean, I know we started at 2010, but like, I don't know, man. This is unreal. This is going to be hard for me, and I can't wait to hear what you guys say because I'm not going to say which one I pick yet because I can be swayed. I could pick any one of these.
That was good, Bob. Because for me, it was really tough too. And there's still a lot from 2019 that I haven't seen. Like Us, you mentioned Us. Like I really want to see that one. I'm almost happy I haven't seen every movie from 2019 yet because I still want to watch a lot of them, and I'm glad I haven't yet. But
there might never be movies again too. So I mean,
yeah,
we got
exactly.
2019 to fall back on.
Exactly. So I also had Parasite. This is in no order as well as Bob's. Like I don't know what I'm thinking yet. I had Parasite. I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I had Endgame. I had Marriage Story, and then we just watched Uncut Gems this past week, so it's hard for me to like place it within all of those because I'd previously seen those.
Too.
But I threw it in there just because I thought Adam Sandler's great. But yeah, that's my what was that? 4 movies or 5 movies with Endgame. Yeah. So Jared, what do you got?
So it's interesting because I also had a very hard time narrowing this list down, but I just picked 5, and we each picked 5 and share 4 of those movies across all 3 of us. So I had Parasite, Avengers Endgame, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and The Lighthouse was my differentiator there.
And Bob's was Us. So that's, we all have.
It's hard.
And again,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I could say so many great things about so many of these movies, but am I correct in saying that we shared those top 4 between
I
the
believe
3 of
so,
us?
yeah.
So it should be
Endgame, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, and what was the other one we?
Marriage Story.
Marriage Story. Fuck, God, I like almost forgot about it. I just said on my list, but damn, that one is so good too.
Dude,
This is
Should we
hard.
start just by narrowing it down to those 4, I guess?
This
Yeah.
is how I'm going to say it with those 4. I know, Jared, you're going to have a different one. I'll list mine right now. So for 4 for me was Endgame. You guys are the bigger Marvel fans, but that was a really good movie, but it doesn't make my top 3. My 3 is then Parasite, which is great. Love that movie. This is so hard as I'm saying this. I'm just bullshitting now, I think. And then Marriage Story, which I think was like 2 of the greatest acting performances I've ever seen. Not that I know what's going on, but that was like super amazing acting. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my favorite movie of the year. That's what I got.
Now, this is always difficult because when we talk about best movies, everyone has a different interpretation of best. So it sounds like you're leaning more towards your favorite movies.
That is what I am doing.
Which is fair. I mean, we didn't set any criteria, so you can Rank them however you'd like.
I'm gonna make our first move in determining the best movie of 2019. I know Ben just listed it as his number one, but if we're talking about those four movies, I'm saying let's take Once Upon a Time in Hollywood off and narrow it down to Endgame, Marriage Story, and Parasite.
So, this is interesting because if I were to talk about my favorite movies, then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is definitely higher. But if I'm thinking objective best movies, then I'm okay with that decision.
Yeah, that was my favorite movie. Objectively, it probably wasn't the best, but yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so now
still incredible, but
yeah, still an amazing movie. Parasite, Avengers Endgame, and Marriage Story. Let's just slowly, systematically go through it and knock one off each round. We'll go around and we'll decide which one we're taking off until we're left with one. What are we taking off next? What are we taking off next? I don't know, because it's so hard for me to take off Endgame because it's such a good movie. And it's more than a movie. Like Jeremy just said, it's more than a movie. So I think if I had to take one off this round, son of a bitch, I don't know.
Here's the issue.
Somebody else drop the first domino.
I'll just put it all out there for you, Bob. I know you want to do this systematically, but here's where I come down. Going into the Oscars, I thought Marriage Story and Parasite, either or, could be considered Best Picture. I thought they were both damn near flawless, perfectly executed movies. And I still believe that. However, I'm just going to vote for Endgame because of 20 plus, or not 20 plus years, but 20 plus movies over a decade of work going into a movie. It's something we've never seen before. It's something we'll never see again. The fact that they could take the most beloved franchise at the time, maybe ever, and give a satisfying ending that almost nobody hated, basically universally loved. I don't think we fully comprehend how lucky we are that Endgame turned out the way it did. And therefore, I'm voting for Endgame. You guys can agree or disagree with me, but that's my vote.
Okay,
I want to disagree. I want to disagree so bad.
Ben, which one are you picking? Because like I can, if we're gonna do what we've been doing, where it's basically have to get two of the three, I could get down with Endgame.
I understand that, and while I understand that, it's the most popular movie probably of all time, right? I understand that. But if we knock Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for not being like the best made movie, then we have to do the same for Endgame. I get culturally what it means, but it's not the best movie. That's why I fall down.
So I was hoping no one would notice when I said that about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just to get that one off the board. But you make a very valid argument, Ben.
So I guess out of the four we have left, I would go with this. All right, go to Bob because I really don't know. Shit. Dude, it's between Marriage Story and Parasite to me. Then out of those three, like.
All right, well here's what we'll do, because it sounds like Bob's a swing vote between Endgame and something else. So Ben, you make your decision, and then Bob, you can decide if you want to go with what Ben said or Endgame.
All right, here's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Marriage Story because I thought the acting was unbelievable. The story was like. If everyone watched it, everyone could get something out of it, and everyone could actually relate to it. It just seems like a really real story, unlike Avengers, which only happens when people make stuff up.
Oh, okay. Man, as much as I like the theme of us fucking Jeremy on this, I think me and Ben have like outvoted Jeremy on like four of the fucking years on this thing. Son of a bitch. You know what? If you had said Parasite, Ben, I think I would have sided with you, but you went with Marriage Story, so I am going to go with Jeremy. Endgame, best movie of 2019.
That's fine. Jeremy sacrificed Social Network early just so he could have Endgame in the end.
And as we all know, a win for Endgame is a win for me.
It won't win the best movie of the decade, though. I promise you that.
I got to hear what we came up with. It feels like I don't even remember.
Jared, do you have the list? Because I have it here.
Go ahead, Ben. You can read them off. Our top 10 lists. These are the best movies of the decade, assuming you only take one movie from each year.
Yeah, so here we go. 2010, Inception. 2011, Limitless. Crazy. 2012, Django. 2013, The Wolf of Wall Street. 2014, American Sniper. 2015, Creed. 2016, Arrival. 2017, Get Out. 2018, A Star is Born. 2019, Avengers Endgame.
Not a bad list.
2019 itself was harder, I think, than this final list for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we did an objective top 10 of the decade, then 7 of them would have come from 2019. But that's
All right,
not how we did it.
What's our protocol? Are we going to cut it down to 5 and then go from there?
I don't know. I mean, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to just what are you thinking of that top 10? Should we just say what we're all thinking and then see if we can compromise somewhere?
I think I'm thinking American Sniper, Get Out. Oh,
if we're doing, Bob, list your third one then, because I'll list my 3.
I would say American Sniper, Get Out, and do I want to say Limitless?
Please do.
No, it'd just be a waste. Ben, run through the list one more time.
All right, so Inception, Limitless, Django. Is it Django Unchained? Does that matter?
No,
I mean, there is a movie called Django, but I don't think we're going to confuse them.
Okay, so then The Wolf of Wall Street, American Sniper, Creed, Arrival, Get Out, A Star Is Born, and Endgame.
Fuck! Oh my god, this is so hard. You know what? I'm gonna put Wolf of Wall Street. So I got Wolf of Wall Street, Get Out, and what's the other one I said?
Limitless. No, American Sniper.
American Sniper. How can I forget? Yeah, American Sniper, Get Out, and Wolf of Wall Street.
All right, here's what I'll go with my top 3. A Star Is Born, The Wolf of Wall Street, and this is I'll go with Get Out. I think Get Out.
We're never going to come to an agreement.
Jeremy has Limitless, Endgame.
I'm going to say Endgame, Arrival, and Django Unchained are my top 3.
Well, here's what I'll say. All right, well, I think Django was what I was like comparing with Get Out, but I couldn't go with it because I didn't even have Django originally when I did 2012. So I don't know. For me, like it's either A Star Is Born or The Wolf of Wall Street out of these movies. Like The Wolf of Wall Street is like a movie, as long as the swear words are in it, I could watch it over and over again.
I would probably put Wolf of Wall Street. I like my number 4.
I would put Wolf of Wall Street. That might be it. I agree, Ben. Wolf of Wall Street for me. So, Jer, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Let me just throw one last idea out there. And if you guys disagree with it, then I will concede and we can go with Wolf of Wall Street. The Social Network.
Fuck off!
All right.
No.
Jer,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Social Network was a good movie. Wolf of Wall Street, I think, is like... It's a better movie to me.
Wow. So after all that work, is it official?
Jared, who would you rather look at for 2.5 hours? Leonardo DiCaprio or that skeevy little bastard Jesse Eisenberg?
That's how people judge movies. I like that a lot.
I think the answer is clear.
I don't know what that has to do with those 2 movies, but if I just had to stare at one of those people for a while, I guess it would be Leo. So with all that, is it official? Is the best movie of the decade The Wolf of Wall Street?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it as well.
That was a lot of work to get to a movie that I consider the 4th or 5th best movie of the decade. But
sorry, Jer. It's a democracy.
You gotta trust the process. There was a lot of science and research that went into this. And mathematically, objectively, scientifically, the best movie of the 2010s is The Wolf of Wall Street. Tarantino can suck it. So now let's move on to our review for this week. One that we all agreed was in the top tier for 2019, which included a lot of other great movies, even if the Oscars didn't agree with us. Of course, we're talking about Uncut Gems. This movie is directed by Benny and Josh Safdie, aka the Safdie brothers. Written by Ronald Bronstein and the Safdie brothers. All of those credits are shared with their first feature film, Good Time, which we also mentioned, came out in 2017. This movie stars Adam Sandler, Lakeith Stanfield, Julia Fox, Kevin Garnett, and everyone's favorite actor, The Weeknd. This movie premiered at Telluride Film Festival on August 30th of 2019, had a limited U.S. release on December 13th, and then released widely on Christmas. Made $50 million worldwide, theatrically, on a $19 million budget. We are going to start spoiler-free, because I imagine a lot of people will be seeing it for the first time now that it's on Netflix. So I will just start by asking you guys. First of all, you hadn't seen the movie before, is that correct?
No.
That is correct.
And I had only seen it a few weeks ago, so I didn't beat you to it by very much. So what was your perceived hype going into it? And do you feel like that ruined the movie for you? Did it set the expectations for you? Did it live up to the hype?
I want to start with the ending. Now, the ending of the movie. No, it lived up to the hype. It was just wild to me because, like, I remember when I first saw the preview for it, I was like, what the fuck? Adam Sandler in a serious role? That was enough for me right there. And even if the movie sucked and got shitty reviews, just to see Adam Sandler in a serious role, I would have went and watched it. This was the first time I watched it when we watched it for the podcast this week. I was very excited to see this movie. Like, I've been waiting to watch this for a while, and we finally got to see it. And it lived up to the hype for me, for sure. Ben, what do you think about it?
No, yeah, just like you, Bob. When the previews came out, I remember thinking this movie looks awesome. Like, I really want to see Adam Sandler in this role. And then actually seeing it, the thing that stuck out the most was how great everyone in it was. Like, Lakeith Stanfield might be, like, I hope he becomes a main actor in Hollywood, because he's good. And, like, I only know him really from this, and he was in Get Out, and he was really good in both those roles. I thought, like, Kevin Garnett did good. I know he's just playing himself, but still, like, good. Like,
good acting.
Really good. He was good, yeah. Adam Sandler's obviously, like, really fun in that role, and then Julia Fox I think she just plays Julia, right?
Yeah.
But I thought I'd never seen her in anything else.
That's her first movie.
She was incredible in that. I thought she was really good.
Jared, do you know if that's true? Is that her first movie?
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah, she's
she
like a model, but I think this was her
won
first
something
acting
for, like,
thing.
Did she win something for, like, best breakthrough actor or something? Because she was great in it.
Yeah, that's
Also,
something the Safdie brothers do, is they pick a lot of non-actors for their movies, and somehow they end up being the greatest actors ever.
Yeah, my last thing on it is just Adam Sandler, king of movies, where he just finds the people to be the best-looking girlfriend, wife in that movie. Great,
Oh, yeah.
Great on him.
This
100%.
has so many Adam Sandler tropes. It's still, as much as it's a serious movie, it still has all the Adam Sandler tropes. He has a super hot girlfriend / wife that is not on the same level as him. Takes place in New York. He's Jewish.
Yeah, the classic Adam Sandler trope of him being Jewish.
Hot wife and Jewish.
Hot wife, New York, and Jewish. It's literally copy and paste of the Adam Sandler movie.
Because his ex-wife in this movie is
also
attractive. Yeah, he's super hot. And then his girlfriend's super
guma,
hot.
his guma is fucking...
Yeah, I don't know what he, in his contracts, if it's like, all right, I need a hot girlfriend or a hot wife, and I want to film in a place I want to be. That's what he goes for.
Has he ever had a realistically, like... What does Adam Sandler's real wife look like?
I have no idea.
Do you think she's like, hey, Adam...
No, she's attractive, but no
is there a
offense,
reason
she's not
all
Julia
of your
Fox.
Is there a reason all of your wives in your movies are, like, supermodels?
My response to the hype will kind of lead into the next topic I wanted to talk about. But the only reason I felt like it was a little overhyped was because I think most of the people, losing their minds about this movie, saying it's the greatest movie ever, hadn't seen Good Time. And I know we all watched Good Time, a little peek behind the curtains on the Big Movie Boy podcast. We did a lot of practice episodes before they ever got released. I know, can you imagine that they used to be worse than this? But the very first episode we did, just as a practice run, we watched Good Time. And at the time, none of us had seen Uncut Gems. And tonally, very similar movies.
The exact same movie. The music, I think, did they waste the time? It's the same soundtrack. I know they're going for a style and a look, but I don't necessarily like
similar.
that. Because it's two different stories, but it's the same exact tone. It's almost like you're watching the same movie.
I do think they're very similar. I do think clearly, like you said, Ben, that they're trying to set their own tone, or their own style, rather. And I do think that Uncut Gems is a refinement on what they were trying to do with Good Time. Good Time itself is a great movie. Uncut Gems, I think, is a great movie. I do think it's a little bit better. But having had seen Good Times previously, I think took a little bit of the experience of watching Uncut Gems for the first time that a lot of other people had, if that makes sense.
That's exactly how I feel, Jared. Because I feel like a lot of people watch this movie, had never seen the Safdie brothers movies before, watched it and thought that's badass because that's what we thought after Good Time. And then, yeah, just watching this movie, it just felt like not like I was rewatching Good Time. It was still a really good movie. I listed it with my top 5 or 6 with 2019. But yeah, that's just how I feel. It just felt a little too similar, but still a great movie.
Okay, so would you go back and like go back in time and reverse it and have us watch? Like, would you rather see Uncut Gems and have that be your first Safdie Brothers movie? Or would you keep it the way it happened for all of us, where we saw Good Time first, followed by Uncut Gems?
I'd probably do it the same, only because I do think Uncut Gems is better. So if I had seen Uncut Gems first and then Good Time, I would probably not think Good Time was as good.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like, because maybe if we saw Uncut Gems, we would think it was even better than what it was. But if you watch Good Time after Uncut Gems, it probably takes a little like luster away from Uncut Gems.
Yeah, I agree with both of you.
But yeah, that being said, Good Time is on Netflix, so I would recommend it, even if you've seen Uncut Gems. I do think it's worth watching.
And a friend of the show is in that movie.
Yep, friend of the show, Robert Pattinson, does star in Good Time. And if you do watch them both for the first time, tweet at us. Let us know what order you watched them in and which one you think is better. I'm curious to hear, because I've heard a lot of opinions on Good Time, or on Uncut Gems, rather, but I don't know how many of those people watched Good Time before or after watching Uncut Gems. I don't know too many other people's opinions on that. So then, while we remain spoiler-free, was it better or worse than you were expecting, and would you recommend it?
I would say, now, like this had the hype to it, and it's one movie I've wanted to see for a while, and I would say it was just as good as I thought it was going to be, if not a little bit better. And this is a 10 out of 10. You must recommend this movie. I mean, if you have a Netflix subscription, how have you not watched this movie yet? I mean, you got. I'd say this is a must watch.
Yeah, I guess for me then, I was super excited for it. So my expectations were really high, so I guess mine would be a little lower, but it was still extremely good. If I would have known nothing about it, then I probably would have liked it even more than I did. But this movie you have to watch it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of more on Ben's side here, where I think it was a little overhyped for me. That doesn't mean I don't think it's an absolutely incredible movie that everyone should watch. I do think you should know going into it, though, that it's not really an enjoyable experience, I guess.
You're going to have anxiety the entire time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a stressful watch, so you need to be ready for that. That's not everyone's cup of tea. I don't know, are there any other just kind of general thoughts you guys had, or would you rather kind of move into an open discussion?
No, I just want to say one thing real quick. Bob, did you know that Joel Embiid almost played the Kevin Garnett role, but he couldn't because the season was starting when they started filming, so they had to go back in time and do Kevin Garnett instead.
I think Garnett actually acts pretty well. I mean, there was a few lines that he had where I'm just like, okay, you clearly don't really he felt like not an actor. But then there was a few scenes where I'm just like, oh no, he's holding his own. This seems pretty good. I think he out of any athlete in a movie, that was not a big role because he's not on screen that much, but that's a big enough role, and he played it well enough to impress me greatly.
And to not take away from the movie itself.
Yeah, he never takes you out of the movie. He fits in. It fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he really stood out as being, better than expected, because what, do you expect? I think the only other athlete turned movie star that I can think of recently was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, we watched him in Space Jam, and just different movies, I might say, but Kevin Garnett's a better actor. Yeah.
Wait, you're telling me that Space Jam and the Safdie Brothers movies aren't in the same universe? I thought they were all interconnected.
I'm sure there's some fan theory connecting all of them somewhere. And if not, Bob, that's your task for next week.
Got it.
But let's move in to spoilers. So if you haven't seen Uncut Gems yet and you'd like to see it without it being ruined for you, I recommend stopping the podcast here, getting on your Netflix account, watching the movie, and then you can come back. We'll be waiting for you right here. That's been your warning. Now,
Adam Sandler dies.
That was hard for Bob. I know that was hard for Bob.
Perfect dude. I love that twist ending. I guess that would you even call it a twist? Because like the whole time I'm watching it at the end, when all his bets are hitting on the game, and it's like, holy fuck, he's the entire time it was building up at the end. You're just like, okay, like obviously the bets aren't going to work. Like he's going to lose all the money. You knew that was coming, and then when it didn't come,
You're like, I'm like happy ending. I was not ready for a happy ending.
Yeah, and then they're like, boom, guess what, motherfucker? Not a happy ending. Good night.
I was during the movie, I almost looked up that game to see like Kevin Garnett's stat line because I couldn't handle the anxiety of watching the movie. Like I was like, who wins the tip ball? Oh my god, does he lose it on the tip ball?
Oh my god, the fact that parlay includes the tip and he's got the guys like locked in that little in between door space, and he's just like, oh man, if that didn't happen, that whole thing would have been screwed. I'm like, how do you risk all of that
on a tip ball? Like,
I'm not like a sports gambler or anything, but like just knowing like what that parlay meant and how hard that was to hit, it was just incredible. And then I know we just went right to the ending, but when he hits on all of it, lets his brother-in-law in with his goons, and he just immediately gets shot in the head. I almost paused. I think I did pause it, and I was like, wait, did that shit just happen?
Wait,
I had to like make sure it happened.
Back to the parlay, just to clarify, it was the tip ball. It was his stat line.
It was he had to get 26 total points plus rebounds, so like 18 points, 8 rebounds.
And it was
the Celtics win. Yep.
Going off of everything that happened earlier in the movie, where he knows that this gem basically gives Kevin Garnett some sort of power, and even when he was sitting in his office and they was trying to amp him up, like trying to be like, yeah, Kevin, like let's get back, like have a good game tonight, like saying like I know you're gonna have a good game, like trying to amp him up and stuff. I think that was smart. Like, okay, like I'll bet on the Celtics to win, and I'll bet on his stat line. Like, no problem at all. But then to add that other part of the parlay, tip ball, like the first two parts are smart. You're like, okay, like that's pretty strategic there, Adam Sandler. Good idea. Like that's a safe bet. He's like, no, fuck it. Like let's throw the tip ball in there too, just to make it like extra stupid to risk all your money like that.
So wild. Yeah, this movie is just a stress-filled anxiety trip, basically from beginning to end. I don't know that there's 5 minutes in this movie where there's only one conversation happening. There's always 2 to 6 conversations happening at any given moment.
Well, Adam Sandler's always on his phone. He's on his phone. I wanted to like break down the statistics. How much of the runtime is him talking on the phone?
I would think at least 50%.
What if that thing fucking dies? Like what? Like why is it never like?
I do appreciate the 2012 like iPhone 4 or whatever with like the old iOS on it. Like,
but you were talking about the anxiety, Jared. Like, if they really wanted to make the super anxiety filled, they should have had a scene where like he had to make a call and like his phone was going to die and he didn't have his charger.
Then he wouldn't have been able to talk to 3 different people at the same time, which they needed at all times. When he hits on the bet early on in the movie, you're like, how is this going to work? Like, how is it going to ramp up? I thought like he gets screwed over somehow, and then showing that the guy he owes money to stops the bet, so therefore he still owes that guy a shitload of money is just incredible and ramps up that anxiety even more.
Yeah, anytime you feel, and I guess that's the hint they give you earlier on in the movie, is anytime you feel like things are finally gonna settle down and work the way they're supposed to, takes a hard right turn, kind of adding to the whole stress of this entire movie. The way that they use that jeweler door, the double locking door or whatever, as just a point of stress, every single time a character is walking through that doorway,
you think they're gonna get stuck. When those people get stuck in the beginning, when it's Kevin Garnett and there's 3 guys, I felt like I couldn't.
It's that part where they get stuck, and then it's also just like, you think like going through a door is something that's easy, but going through a door in this shop, in this movie, requires 8 people to yell at each other, to press a button, to then close the first door, to press another button to open a second door. Literally, anytime someone gets near those doors, my heart starts racing.
Yeah, here's my question for both you guys. Do you think this is more of a Diamond District movie or a gambling addict movie? I know it can be both, but what do you like? I don't know. The gambling sticks out to me at the end. Like he has a problem.
Yeah, he's clearly has a gambling addiction, and I would say it seems more a gambling movie.
That scene when he makes his father-in-law spend the money to buy the gem or whatever because he's trying to make Kevin Garnett pay more. Yeah, it was just like it was incredible. I'm like, You knew that was the one part where I kind of knew what was going to happen. You knew the father-in-law was going to get it, that you just didn't know what was going to happen after. But that scene was like super intense, I thought, and just the only time I actually knew what was going on, knew where it was going, I should say.
So there's one part that I caught rewatching it because this was my second time watching it in just about a month. So obviously, one of the big things is he has this opal that he got from those African Jews. Is that what he calls them?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the first big gamble that kind of carries throughout the entire movie. Is he spent $100,000 on it, expecting it to be worth $1.5 million or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the introduction of him being a risk taker and, gambling on not just sports, but on,
Himself,
priceless
yeah,
gems as
yeah,
well. But then the thing I caught during my second viewing was that, so the movie starts with him getting a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
And then there's a very stressful phone call later on where he's having several conversations, as well as a phone call with his doctor where the doctor's like, yep, everything's fine, no worries. And he's like, oh, okay, just I'm worried about it because, my dad died of whatever. So, like, that's like the one instance in this entire movie where he's not a risk taker. He's doing the complete opposite. He's trying to mitigate risks of this potential disease that he may have inherited. So I thought that was just like an interesting characteristic of him, that in every other aspect of his life, he's this huge risk taker, gambler and everything. But then when it comes to his health, I guess he's proactive and trying to mitigate all risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering originally why, because looking back on it, like it was that opening scene and then it was just that phone call. That I was really kind of wondering what purpose that served. And what you said sounds about right. Seems like it could be true, but it just that's like the one thing that stuck out to me. I was like, wow, I'm in there.
Yeah, they just needed like an extra layer of anxiety in that one bit of conversation where they probably had the movie written and they're like, we need to make this even more chaotic. Let's go back and make him get a colonoscopy at the beginning.
Now, Ben, you had mentioned Lakeith Stanfield earlier. He's also, I had seen him in Knives Out. He plays one of the detectives or cops or whatever. And he's in the Netflix adaptation of Death Note, which I guess is universally hated by everyone who's seen the anime. But since I hadn't seen the anime, I thought it was fine. And I do agree that he's great in everything and should be in everything moving forward. But his character is one of the biggest sources of...
He's an asshole.
Yeah,
that guy's
anxiety and miscommunication and everything.
He just seems like a real person, like that guy who's like, yeah, dude, I have the gem. Like, come on, come outside, I have it. And then once you get in, he's like, no, dude, I don't have it. Why do you think I have it? It's like, dude,
it's
you
not
fucking
even
told
that
me.
straightforward.
Yeah.
It's get in the car, we need to talk. And he's
Yeah.
like, why? Just give it to me. I need it. No, get in the car, we need to talk. And I'm like, oh my, that whole conversation just
Yeah, he's brutal.
rips me
He's
apart.
really brutal in it. But he seems like the type of guy who would be friends with Kevin Garnett to be like, he's just isn't his role in the movie for Adam Sandler, he gets like basketball players or NFL players to go there to buy diamonds?
I think he tries to entice high-profile people into coming into Adam Sandler's shop, and then he gets like a commission based off
Yeah.
of it.
Well, he's not a good employee. He really doesn't care.
Well, the other thing, I think the other rule to their little agreement is that he gets to keep some of his like illegal or fake Rolexes in the fucking safe
right.
too.
That Adam Sandler then sells.
Which is just adds more to how crazy Adam Sandler is that he's like pawning his friends' watches, as well as the first thing he does when he gets Kevin Garnett's championship ring is he goes right to the pawn shop and pawns it for money. Like, that's crazy.
That's almost where the anxiety started, right?
Because right away he goes.
He goes and gives it right to the pawn shop, and it's like, well, he's definitely not going to get this back. You knew he was going to forget about that, but you also forget about it, so it's weird in a sense when Kevin Garnett's returning the gem or whatever.
Yeah.
Something else that I didn't, fully realize in my first viewing was that the soundtrack to this movie is pretty great. And obviously we talked about the score being pretty similar to Good Time, but the soundtrack, I feel like they don't, the reason I didn't realize it the first time is because they don't play a lot of these songs for very long in the movie. But if you just look at like the track list for the soundtrack, it's definitely worth checking out on Spotify or whatever and just listening to.
The best of now that's what I call 2012, man. It was literally yeah.
No, it was a good soundtrack. Besides, like the techno stuff, that's where we feel like it reminisces of Good Time. But like the soundtrack itself, the music being played is really good.
It brings you back to 2012 very well. Because, I mean, for us, it's weird because we're young and we're like, oh, we're 2012? Like, we're talking about that. But it's, like, strange to think. Like, Jeremy, you mentioned the iPhone being, like, the old iOS. The music, like, I don't know. It definitely, 2012 wasn't even that long ago, but it actually made the movie feel like it was in 2012.
I agree. Like The Weeknd, how they made The Weeknd not be super famous yet.
Yeah,
'cause
he was on his come up. Like, that was awesome.
I thought that was really. I thought The Weeknd was good in it too. Like when he's in that club and about to hook up with Julia.
He had like 2 lines.
No,
What
but
do you mean?
you don't think he was good in that though? I feel like I
Yeah,
feel
he
like
sang
a lot of
well,
rappers.
and he did a good line.
No,
of coke,
no, I'm talking about in the bathroom when he actually has to like act, not when he has to sing.
When he said my dick's hard, yeah,
Yeah.
he was
All right, Ben.
great there.
Ben, here's the direction they gave him. Let me know if you think you can handle this. We need you to pretend to be
I
yourself,
think that's
and
hard to
also
do when you never act.
also you need to pretend to be sexually attracted to Julia Fox. Do you think you can handle that?
No, you guys don't know acting like I do. That was tough.
But it's weird, like that he agreed to like. He's playing himself, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do coke in the movie." Like, I don't know. That was strange to me.
Yeah, because he's acting because he doesn't do cocaine, Bob.
I guess I'll ask you guys then. Are you inclined to rewatch this anytime soon? Is it going to be one you go back to maybe annually, or is it too stressful of a movie to rewatch, at any sort of frequency?
No, yeah, because of that anxiety, it'll probably be like a once a year type of movie for me, or if like the Safdie brothers come out with another movie, say in like 2 years or whatever. But this movie, yeah, I'll definitely rewatch it in like a year. I don't think I'll go back to it anytime soon, just because of that anxiety, even though it was a great movie.
I could be like, say I was watching this, like I was with somebody that hadn't seen the movie, and like we were looking for a movie to watch. I'd be like, oh, like, let's watch this. So like I could watch this movie as soon as tomorrow. Like it was good. I would rewatch it again, 100%. But unless it was like a scenario like I just described, where I was like telling somebody about it, and it's like we should watch this movie. Like by myself, am I gonna sit down to watch it? Probably not. Probably like, yeah, maybe like once a year, or like Ben said, same thing. Say the Safdie brothers come out with a movie, maybe I'll watch this to get amped for it.
That's
But,
a good point,
yeah.
Bob, about watching it with another person who hasn't seen it before, because you almost want to see how
Their
they
reaction.
react to the roller
Yeah.
coaster of events. That would be a cool way to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having just seen it for the first time a month ago, I wasn't, super enthused to watch it again so close. I do think it's, as good of a movie as it is, it takes a little bit out of you when you watch it. You don't end the movie feeling better than you started it.
That's for sure. You're like, what am I
So-
forgetting to do? There's something I'm forgetting.
Right. You just, all of a sudden, like, I just feel like I need to be doing something. But yeah, I having seen it now twice in about a month, I don't have any plans to rewatch it again in the near future. But I do think it's something that is worth going back to every now and then. Any final thoughts on Uncut Gems?
I would say it lives up to the hype for the most part, even though it was very, very hyped. And I hope that this somehow leads, because I know Adam Sandler was pretty pissed off that he didn't get nominated for an Oscar. I hope that instead of, there was a thing going around saying that if he didn't win the Oscar or get nominated for the Oscar, he was going to make a million more shitty movies, like on purpose. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope the opposite happens, where he realizes like, oh, like I can like be a good actor, and a lot of people do agree that he was snubbed from being nominated. Hopefully this leads to more serious, or maybe even more roles with the Safdie brothers involving Adam Sandler, like more movies with him in them. That's what I would like to see come out of this.
Yeah, Bob, I agree with you. Like, I would recommend go watch it, even though we make it seem like it's anxiety riddled, which it is, but it's still worth watching. And also, Adam Sandler was snubbed, and I really hope he does, because it was fun to see him in this role, and like even doing the press for it, he was like excited about it. I want to see him in roles like this where he's excited about the movie rather than just a movie where he goes on vacation with his family. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think I would echo the same exact things. If it makes him happy to go on vacation and make a movie, then maybe do every other year. 1 year you go on vacation, the next year you partner with the Safdie brothers or someone similar to make a movie as good as Uncut Gems, and then maybe everyone will be happy. So with all that being said, thank you for listening, and remember, we're here for a good time, not a long time. We'll see you next week.